Now, there's been a trend for the past couple of weeks as I have been streaming discussing a variety of different prospects the Buffalo Bills could target in the upcoming NFL draft. And I swear I always get people say, Dan, we need to trade up. We need to hit a home run in the first round. Now, I don't know what Brandon Beane is going to do. History suggests he will trade up slightly. But what I wanted to do on today's episode was I wanted to identify teams that would want to trade up with the Buffalo Bills and or a trade up partner based off of their lack of picks and desperation, and also what sort of players the Buffalo Bills would be targeting if that trade up was successful. I'm very excited. I have the PFF mock draft simulator pulled up in front of me, and we are going to identify all 5 of those teams, what it would take to draft up into that place based off of a pick compensation, future picks, and more importantly, who would be available if we were to successfully do so. Now, for everybody that is joining, thank you so much. I always love being able to hang out with my friends each and every single morning to discuss Buffalo Bills and NFL football. Please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up sign. It's the easiest way to show love on this channel. And more importantly, if you are not subscribed, certainly consider doing so. And also hit that bell notification so you can be a part of my live chat community. You will notice that I'm going to yap for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then afterwards, I end up transitioning over to the live chat community where they take control of the conversation. So hit that bell notification, hit that thumbs up sign. And without further ado, let's go on ahead and dive into the 5 potential trade partners for the Buffalo Bills to go up in the NFL draft. Now, what I am doing is I am only going to be doing a first round mock draft here, and I am going to be selecting the trade immediately. So that way we can see what the compensation is going to look like, and of course, what player would be available. Now, as we enter the draft, the very first team that I think is realistic for the Buffalo Bills to trade up with just so happens to be our good friends, the Minnesota Vikings. All right. Where the Minnesota Vikings currently stand is at pick 24. And as you can see, they only have 4 picks. So these guys are desperate, in my opinion, to gain as much draft capital as humanly possible. And as you can see here, folks, the Buffalo Bills are absolutely loaded with draft compensation. So let's see what it would take to trade up with the Minnesota Vikings and see exactly who would be there. So we want the 24th overall pick. Obviously, a pick swap would get it done. Now, they do not have a second round pick at all in Minnesota, so we have to figure out what would be ideal for them. We simply just throw in pick 62, one of our second rounds. I suppose I could be greedy and give them one of our thirds, something like that, but more than likely, from a realistic standpoint, I believe that we would need to walk away with one of our second round picks. And with that being said, it sounds like that this trade will likely be accepted, almost a 100% chance of said. We are going to offer the trade, and it is accepted. The Buffalo Bills are up to the 24th overall pick. Now, let's see exactly what players would be available if we traded with the Minnesota Vikings. And have no fear, folks, all right? We have 4 more teams that we are going to go over, and each team would be a higher selection for the Buffalo Bills. So be patient as we see. Now, if we were to do this, we gave the Minnesota Vikings a pick swap in the first round, and we walked away with one of our second round picks, right? Now, if we were at 24 right here, this would be where we would be drafting, or some of the specific players we would be looking for right here, right? Have Luther Burden, who is interesting. A lot of people are intrigued by this wide receiver prospect. Me personally, I think he's more of a slot receiver. I'm not particularly too high on this guy, but he could be an option for the Buffalo Bills. You have a James Pierce Jr., wildly fast, ran like a 4.40 as an edge rusher, 8 sacks, 13 in 2023. Maybe Buffalo ends up going for a James Pierce. Maybe Walter Nolan, defensive lineman out of Ole Miss. Let's go ahead and scroll down if there's anybody else that's of intrigue. We'll just say that we selected James Pierce with this overall draft, with the Buffalo Bills trading up James Pierce with the Minnesota Vikings. Again, first possible trade-up candidate. Vikings, Bills. We did a pick swap with the Vikings, and we also ended up walking away with one of our second-round picks, giving it back to the Minnesota Vikings, who I believe will be looking for it. Now, let's go ahead and do it again, right? Who are the Buffalo Bills going to trade with next? All right, who can we potentially go up, and who is our next trade partner? And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and tell you exactly who I am targeting here. And that just so happens to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Where the Pittsburgh Steelers currently stand, we are looking at the 21st overall pick. And as you can see, they only have 6 picks available at this point. I do believe that they will want to stack up as much draft compensation as humanly possible. They do not have a second-round pick. Let's see what it would cost the Bills to trade up with this team. We could give them a second round, which would basically do it. They are not so much interested in our 4th, but they are very intrigued in the second overall pick. We can just say that, right? 21, very realistic if you were to ask me, something where the Buffalo Bills wouldn't be able to walk away with too crazy of a draft compensation. Let's offer the trade. Look at that. It is accepted. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, exact same draft compensation, probably a 4th round, maybe a future sometime in 2026 perhaps, but without a doubt, we are going to start the draft and see what players are available. Now, if the Buffalo Bills were at 21 and we traded up this, we're starting to see some very intriguing prospects available. We have Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia, who a lot of us are very, very high on. Very, very high on. Rich is coming in and saying that he would love to get James Pierce up at 24. You guys should trade back. When has that ever gone wrong for the Buffalo Bills? We have 10 picks. That's the only reason. And we're not going to be able to field 10 players on this team in the first place. I'd say probably about 5 or 6. So trading down, while I suppose I could see it, I think trading up is going to be our number one option here. But if this is how it would play out, if the Buffalo Bills were to be able to move up to the 21st, these are some of the players that we would be greeted with. Still have Luther Burden, still have James Pierce, but then Malachi Starks and Mike Green would have entered the conversation. I saw an article earlier today where somebody predicted that the Buffalo Bills were going to trade up with a specific team so that they could grab Mike Green, edge rusher, who could really be a game breaker. 17 sacks in 2024. Let's say that if we traded up to 21, I think Mike Green would perhaps give us the best value. Give me Mike Green. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills. As we remember, second potential trade-up partner here was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We conducted a pick swap, and we also gave them one of our second-round picks. All right, look at that. Look at that, folks. Next up, so far we have traded up with the Minnesota Vikings at 24. We have traded up with the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. And our next one is going to be, well, let me go ahead and pick the Buffalo Bills here. The next possible trade partner, which I have seen several mock drafts suggest we would trade up with, is going to be our good friends, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this team is in an interesting position because they also only have 3 picks within the first 3 rounds and then some later. So 6 picks in total. This team is very old. They are desperate into potentially getting younger. So let's see how much it would cost for the Buffalo Bills to get up on the 19th overall pick. We are going to start off with a pick swap. We would take 19. They would take 30. I want to see if a second round pick would get it done, right? 4th round is not doing anything for them. We could potentially give them a 3rd round in 2025. I'm good on that. Let's just walk away with a second, and let's see if we can grab anything else. Let's grab a 3rd round pick out of this too, if humanly possible, right? Because I think that Brandon Beane would try to finesse something like this. We'd give 30, 62. We'd take 19. We'd gain a 3rd, and we would also give them a 2026 3rd round pick. I think this would get it done, and this also helps us out in the 3rd round. We're going to start the draft here. Oh, fucking A. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't even end up drafting the appropriate player here. Let me go ahead and get this real fast. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pick swap. I want that 3rd, give them the 2nd, and then I'll also give them the 3rd round in 2026. We are going to offer the trade. Boom, it is now accepted. And the Buffalo Bills have gained a third-round pick. And also, they have ended up swapping with the 19th overall. What player would be available for the Buffalo Bills here at 19? Now, so far, we have done the Minnesota Vikings at 24. We have done the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. And now we have traded with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19. So a couple of interesting options right here. I am not high on Tet. I'm not getting Tet. He's slow, 4.6, a 4.6 40 more than likely. He's a contested catch guy only, not crazy with separation. I'm not surprised he's falling or plummeting in draft boards. Have Luther Burden, have James Pierce. I do like Kenneth Grant here. This is likely where I would go, although that I'm still pretty much convinced that he is going to drop to around 30. But say that the draft board really falls this way, I think trading up to 19 to grab Kenneth Grant would make a lot of sense to me. All right. With that potential trade partner, we ultimately ended up seeing the Buffalo Bills swap picks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We took 19. They took our 30. We acquired a third-round pick. We gave them one of our seconds, and we gave them a third-round pick in 2026. Kenneth Grant is now a Buffalo Bill. And I know you guys are getting excited because these next two teams is where we start getting into where we could really find a potential game-changing sort of player based off of what we are looking for here. Now, let's move up to the Cincinnati Bengals because the Cincinnati Bengals would be next. And why, you ask? Why would the Cincinnati Bengals be interested in trading with the Buffalo Bills? Largely because they only have 6 picks in this NFL draft. And I think since they ended up accounting for about 75 to 80% of their overall cap space on 3 players, all right, it is imperative that they hit on the NFL draft. So what exactly would it look like if we were to trade up with Cincinnati? How much would it cost? Obviously, we're starting off with a pick swap here. We would give them a second-round pick, which is likely going to do it. Nothing here. Okay, we'll just give them a second-round pick. And hey, you know what? I want their third round as well. Let's go ahead and give them a third. There you go. And you know what? How about 169 too? Offer the trade. Bang, bang. Trade is accepted with the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to start the draft. There we are at pick 17. And we see a couple of players here and there. We have Malachi Starks. We have Mike Green. We have James Pierce. We have Kenneth Grant. I'm going to take Malachi Starks here. And so I think that he would be a tremendous athlete in the backfield for this team. As you can see, the Buffalo Bills acquired a third-round pick swapped with the Cincinnati Bengals. We gave them the 30th. We gave them a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and also a third round in 2026. Now, last team that I know a lot of you guys are, how high can we go, folks? How high can the Buffalo Bills potentially go in this upcoming draft? We'll be patient. Young ones, young Padawans, I got you here. The highest the Buffalo Bills could go, in my opinion, based off of draft compensation we are willing to walk away with, and a team that is desperate enough to do it, would be the Atlanta Falcons. And let me tell you what, guys. This Atlanta Falcons team has 5 draft picks. That is all. All they have is a first and a second round, and then a significant drop-off, a fourth rounder, until they are able to pick again. If the Atlanta Falcons do not trade with the Buffalo Bills, the Atlanta Falcons will trade with somebody. This team will trade down 110%. This team is trading down. So how much would this cost for the Atlanta Falcons? We are going to ask for their 15th. We are going to give them our 30th overall. Let's see if we can get a fourth, a second round, which they find intriguing. And then you know what? I think a second round in 2025 would be able to get it done. Hold up. Yeah, we'll just go with the second. We'll keep it realistic here. We are taking their 15th overall from Atlanta. We are swapping with the 30th overall. We are giving them our second round pick and a second round pick in 2026. This is expensive, but if you guys want to trade up that high, that is more than likely what it is going to cost. And just for shits and gigs, we have a 2026 third round. Let's go ahead and offer the trade. Look at that. Look at that, folks. Let's start the draft. Who is available for the Buffalo Bills for the Buffalo Bills if we were to trade up to 15. As you can see, a lot of the same players based off of the randomness of this mock draft simulator. I could see a world where Jahdae Barron potentially does fall a tad, right? We could see Will Johnson fall a tad here too. And that would probably be one of the only reasons why I would want to trade up that high. To be completely honest with you, say that we're hearing murmurs that Will Johnson is about to go, or like say that Jahdae Barron is falling significantly and we think that he's going to be there at 15, then I would hands down be happy trading up here. But if the board were to fall like this, I don't know. I'd probably go with Ezeruku, maybe James Pierce, maybe Mike Green. Definitely not Tet McMillan. Maybe Egbuka as well, wide receiver, if we're interested there. Several 1,000-yard, what have you. But hey, you know what? We'll just go with Emeka Egbuka. Go on ahead and draft this gent. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills. So, as you can see, folks, we have identified 5 potential trade-up partners for this team. All right, we had the Minnesota Vikings with the 24th overall pick. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers at the 21st overall pick. The Bengals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 19th overall pick, the Bengals at the 17th, and the Falcons with the 15th overall pick. Why did I identify all these teams? Because Minnesota only has 4 picks, okay? So they are certainly trading down so that they could acquire more draft capital. Once you end up going to the Steelers, they only have 6 picks throughout this entire draft. Bucks are the exact same way. They're very old. They need to get younger. The Cincinnati Bengals need to hit on this draft class. There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to. So Bengals would be up next. And then last but not least would be the Atlanta Falcons. All other teams have quite a bit of draft picks and a lot of needs that need to be filled/addressed in this upcoming draft class. So those are my top 5 potential trade candidates. Folks, if you are just coming in, please do me a favor. Smash that like button. My goal is 200 like buttons by the time this stream and replays sort of die down. Also, do me a favor. If you are new here, when you subscribe, make sure you turn on bell notifications because this is the time of the show where I go over to the live chat and allow my audience to take control of the conversation. I love engaging with all of these guys. I love engaging with each and every single one of you. So if you were tuning in for the first time live, don't be shy. Say what's up. Ask me a question. Tell me a take. I am here. Let's talk about it. All right. I wish you were the GM, Dan. Your trades make sense. Bean would trade 3 firsts and a second to move up 3 spots. Oh, man. I'm not sure if I have the chops to be a GM. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if I'm intelligent enough to be a football GM. It's funny when it comes into draft compensation, bro, because sometimes you think it's going to cost a significant amount of capital. And a lot of the times you're like, holy shit, how do they trade Hollywood Brown in a 2027 5th for moving up in the 1st or that 2nd round pick? You know, like trade compensation, I feel like you always end up getting a shocking move. And you always look at how much it costs for a player in trade compensation or how much it costs to trade up. And you're shocked either which way. But I like it. Spin, what's up, Spin 0481? He just came in and said, I don't see us trading up for anyone unless Wilson drops somehow to the late teens. I can see moving up to the mid-20s for Kenneth Grant. I mean, listen, I think that there are quite a few players. I've seen a lot of speculation from reporters, one specifically from Sports Illustrated. He wrote an article guessing that Buffalo trades up with Tampa Bay for Mike Green. Some people are saying that that is who we are eyeing. Like dude that ended up leading all of college football in sacks last year. He has a lot of red flags. I'm not sure if I'd be happy about that move. It just depends on where the Buffalo Bills are, right? I do think if Jahdae Barron falls, I could potentially see us moving up for him. I could potentially see us moving up for a Will Johnson too. But I feel like we're aligned here. We have Cheetos and Netflix is coming in with a great statement. He says, Abdul Carter will go way too high for us to even have a chance. of getting him. I am assuming that you were having a conversation in the chat with somebody else. Yeah, he's very much out of reach. He is a top 3 pick. There's no way that he falls below 3 if you were to ask me. Mako Morales. What's up, Mako? Hope all is well. He comes in and says, I did a mock. I traded with the Bucks at 19 and got a corner from Texas and came back and traded with the Rams to get Nick Emenwari. Multiple trades in the first round for the Buffalo Bills. Trading up twice into the first round. That would be aggressive. I'd be happy. A Jahdae Barron and an Emenwari. What sort of compensation did you send over, though? So did you send over both of our second rounds, or were you able to sort of package some futures in there to move up a tad? I'm not particularly sure. Alexander is coming in with a statement here, and he says, the crazy part about this whole thing is if you are hearing the Bills coveting a player, then it's all smoke screens. They never let it get out of the building and always tend to surprise us. I'm trying to think of like some surprise picks for us. I don't think any of us during the Dalton Kincaid draft were expecting us to go with Dalton Kincaid. Like, yeah, he might have been on a wish list, but I feel like our needs were in different positional values. And maybe I forgot. But you're right. You are right. We don't know what to expect. Dexy Gaming is coming in with a statement. He says Steelers would make a lot of sense because they trade down, get more picks, and can still get Jackson Dart or whoever. Now, out of all of the teams that I identified for potential trade-up partners, like they are all desperate for picks. Like Vikings make a lot of sense because they have 4 and they are trading down, whether it's with the Bills or not. Same thing with the Steelers, like you just mentioned. Same thing with the Bucks, like 6 picks only. Cincinnati Bengals are desperate to hit on a draft class because they haven't done it in 3 years. And their cap space is tied to 3 players for about 85% of their overall spend. And Atlanta's at 15, and they only have 6 picks. And they are desperate to get young and build around Michael Penix Jr. So hey, what's up, Dan? I came home sick. Spears, I hope you feel better, my friend. I am so sorry to hear you're feeling under the weather. Shane is coming in with a statement here. And he says, doing the 3rd round for a next year 3rd doesn't seem to make sense if they are looking to get more picks this year. Now, I feel like teams that are in that situation, when they trade down, there's going to be other ways where they could leverage some of the capital that they acquired for futures to move down again. I don't think that would be their only move for all of these teams. Several of these teams that we just ended up mocking a trade up, I think that they would trade down at least one more time, especially the Vikings, especially the Buccaneers, and likely the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sure that they would want to stock up on as many 3rd to 4th round picks as humanly possible, but I don't know. I am just at the mercy of this mock draft simulator here. Brian Prout came in with a great statement here. It is pertaining to James Cook. He says, hear me out. Trade James Cook, pick 62, and a 6th round, maybe a future 4 to 5 round to the Cowboys for their 1st. So then we have 2 first rounds. Very unlikely, but maybe. Well, I'll tell you what. If any team is dumb enough to take that, it would be the Dallas Cowboys, right? It would be Jerry Jones. Out of anybody in this league that would take James Cook for us to hop up all the way to pick number 12, I wouldn't sleep on the Dallas Cowboys to make that happen. I don't think that we would say that I was the GM over in Dallas or say that anybody else was the GM outside of Jerry Jones. I think that they would laugh us out of the building for that. Like you would at least need a future 2nd and James Cook and one of our current 2nd rounds. Would be very difficult for me to see them walk away without the very least them walking away with a 1st round swap. Remember when we moved up 3 spots to get Kincaid and didn't move up 4 for BTJ? Oh my God. I know, bro. I know. Andrew is coming in with a statement. And do I stand alone on loving the Bills trading Dawson Knox, way too bloated of a contract for a number 2 tight end who averages 20 catches a year. So the thing is that he was more productive with his limited snaps than Dalton was last year. Although that Dalton Kincaid, I do believe, was dealing with an injury and him and Josh Allen had some chemistry issues. I'm not giving up on Dalton Kincaid at all. If you wanted to look at the Dawson Knox contract, this is where we would be. Dawson Knox spot track. Because I've seen this quite a bit. Because I actually did a stream yesterday where I tried to identify a couple of players that Buffalo could potentially use as trade bait for some draft compensation this year, or to move up rather. But I'm going to share my screen so we have a good idea. We have a good visual as I'm discussing this. We technically have an out on his contract next year. Without me even looking at what the details would appear, say that we did trade him, I could automatically assume that the dead cap would be absolutely stupid, right? And or we are tied to him financially, right? So say that we wanted to do it, we would only save $2 million, right? And we would have a dead cap hit of $12.4 million, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? And no post June 1st either, because we would need to trade him in order to obtain draft compensation. So, yeah, dude, our hands are tied when it comes into Dawson Knox. I'm interested to see what we do with him next offseason, but financially just doesn't make sense. Shane Quinbro. Shane, what up, man? Jihad Campbell's injury was him slipping to the second. Do we trade up in the second round to grab him for the future? Now, normally say that we didn't have as many question marks in key positions on this roster currently, 110%. 110% I would do it. But right now I look at this roster and I see a massive need for an interior defender, a crazy need for a defensive tackle, a crazy need for a CB2. I'd probably identify a vertical wide receiver up there too. While linebacker is technically a need for us, I would much rather address that during next year's free agency / draft class, because Matt Milano is on his last year of his deal. Still have Dorian Williams under a rookie contract. We just extended Terrell Bernard. Spector's a bum. We all know that. But I feel that I wouldn't want to trade up for Jihad Campbell, especially when there's a lot of potential players that we could be targeting earlier that could address our needs now, right? We have Cheetos and Netflix came in with a statement and said 10 picks is excellent capital. I believe Bean will land some gems or has the ability to move around in the draft. I'm very hopeful. I feel like the more and more we have these conversations, I think I'm convincing myself that we can expect a trade up. As cool as it would be for us to move up to 15, I really think our ceiling, and this is me just guessing Bean's behavior and going off of how he operates in previous drafts, if we trade up at all, the ceiling for me would be the Steelers at 21. I think that's the ceiling. Maybe the Buccaneers at 19, but that's even pushing it for me. What player would be available at that point? We won't know. But hey, listen, this NFL draft is just a day away. I understand that we can't draft 10 picks, but what if we try to focus on drafting in the second, third, and fourth rounds with trading picks and some players? That could potentially be an option, right? Because we're sitting on a lot of fifth round picks. I want to say 2 sixths, 2 fourths. Yep. We could potentially just do all of our trading up in those rounds, but I think that there's somebody out there that the Buffalo Bills really like that could potentially trade up and go get immediately. I noticed you took Egbuka over Golden in the trade mock draft. You like him over Golden. I will be completely honest with you, Jersey. I didn't even realize that Matthew Golden was available. All right. I was just so locked in at the draft compensation and where we could potentially trade. That was just me just randomly picking a player. No, I would definitely take Golden over Egbuka. Zero questions asked. Zero. Monkey English Club is coming in with a statement. And he says, do the Bills have roster spots for all of our picks? I hate seeing practice squad guys go other places like Alex Austin. So, say that I'm a gambling man. Out of all 10 picks that the Buffalo Bills have, I don't think we will walk away with 10 picks. But say that we did. 5, maybe 6 will make the 53-man roster. 5, maybe 6. So I think we might be looking at about 7 new players on this Buffalo Bills team, and 1 or 2 of them would be designated to the practice squad. Bill Katie, why not keep James Cook? We can, right? We can. He is on the final year of his rookie deal. He's set to make $5 million this year, but he needs to play for this team if he wants to sit out and not receive a penny from the Buffalo Bills. Then Godspeed. Derek, I think we are less likely to trade up in the first and more likely to trade up in the second round. Derek Cunningham. I mean, hey, it is a possibility. If the Buffalo Bills really like a player, I could definitely see them doing that. But will they stay put at 30? Because for a while, right, especially leading up to this draft, I was like, yeah, maybe they'll trade down so that they can get 3 second-round picks, or maybe they'll stay put. But Bean has only stayed put twice. And that's according to my good friend Kevin, who highlighted that last time he was on the show. He said, Dan, keep in mind, Brandon Bean has only ever stayed put at 30 twice in his entire career with each and every single draft. So I suppose the numbers suggest that movement is a lot more likely than staying put. Shane Quinn is coming in with yet another statement, and this time it's on Geog Campbell. Would you take Geog Campbell if he falls due to his shoulder surgery as a replacement for Milano? No, I wouldn't. Just because we have a lot of positions that need to be addressed this year. And a Geod Campbell would be something that would be, hey, you know what? Like, we need to build for the future. We're just not at that point as a roster where we could draft somebody that high with the intention of just letting him loose next year in 2026. At least if you were to ask me. Knox contract isn't even bad, and he's clutch for us and makes big plays, and he can block and catch. Kincaid cannot. Clippity Farm is coming in with a statement, and I appreciate the contribution, man. I think the Bills need to draft Emanwari. I don't care if we have to trade up. He's a stud. Somebody in the live chat yesterday pointed out that his vertical is only 2 inches less than Ja Morant from the NBA. He is a physical specimen. In my opinion, I think that he is the next Kyle Hamilton. He would be a needle-moving sort of player for the Buffalo Bills. Like day one starter, day one impact player, probably in the conversation for defensive sort of rookie of the year. It's tough to beat out an edge rusher when it comes into that award, but he'd be up there. Spin0481 is coming in with a question. He says, why do people think Cook is worth like a first-round pick as trade value? He's not. He's not, in my opinion. I think that at most, second, and maybe that's even being nice. Second, more than likely. Gary from Facebook just came in with a statement. Gary, what's going on? I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful morning, my friend. Knox will Fox his contract. That's for sure. He is Josh's buddy. You can bet on that. He will not be traded. Yeah, it would not make financial sense at all to move on from the Dawson Knox contract this offseason. Next offseason is different. 134 of you are currently on YouTube watching me, guys. 115 on X, 5 of you on Facebook, and 1 of you on Twitch. If you are enjoying this show, I highly recommend that you just smash that thumbs up sign for me. It's the easiest way to show love over here on the channel. And if you are subscribed, I highly recommend you turn on the bell notification, because as you can see, all of my shows are including my live chat, my live community, where they take control of the conversation. So when you subscribe, just make sure you turn on that bell notification so you never miss when I go live. Trendy Astro is coming in with a statement. He says, do you think we can keep our pick and give up James Cook, a second rounder and a 5th rounder, for the Dallas Cowboys first round pick? Again, I feel like if any team would be dumb enough to take that, it would be the Dallas Cowboys. However, I don't think that that's realistic at all. AD23 is coming in with a great question. He said, "What would you give up to move up with the Steelers and or the Vikings?" We have AD23. So we had the mock draft simulator pulled up earlier on the stream. And if I remember correctly, all we had to do for the Vikings was a pick swap and a second round pick. And that got us up to 24. Steelers was a first round, a second round, and I think we even ended up walking away with their third round pick as well. And I gave them some sort of future pick, I think, a 2026 third round, something like that. So it's not going to be crazy, crazy expensive. Us having 2 second round picks is massive. And it's going to allow us to do some things if we so intend. Obado Sanchez, Cup to Seattle. Yes. Yes. Hey, listen, if he can stay healthy more than 6 games this season, I think that's a great move. Cheetos and Netflix came in and saying, "Are you a fan of Jalen Brunson? Class act." I'll be honest with you, my friend. I am really only a football guy. I really only watch football religiously. I haven't been able to lock into NBA. And so I played baseball, but I really can't watch baseball until the playoffs. Loved playing it when I was a kid. But really, other than that, I don't know. But yeah, most definitely. I know that Richie is a big Jalen Brunson guy. Derek Cunningham is coming in with a hot take. I love hot takes. Xavier Watts is going to be the best safety from the draft class. Derek Cunningham, man. He's a big Notre Dame guy, I've noticed. Big Notre Dame guy. Xavier Watts, best safety. I am interested to see if that take works out, man. For real. I'm just so high on Emanwari. So high on Stark. So I would be interested and I would be happy. We have word of mouth. Dan, y'all need to trade for Tua. Man. Yeah, you're right. You know what, man? We will send over Josh Allen and Shakir and Dalton Kincaid for Tua. Sign me up. Spin 0481 with a statement. Bills draft a tackle in round 1, filling up our jumbo 6-man spot on the roster. What about Alec Anderson, huh? And so if you want to see me absolutely crash out, then yeah, let's do that. Scott _70. What's up, Scott? Hope all is well. Hey, Dan, what's up? From Southern California. I feel we will trade with the Vikings and we will draft Kenneth Grant. Scott _70. That is certainly a very popular sort of trade up partner, right? Because like we said, this Vikings team has 4 picks, only 4 picks. If the Buffalo Bills do not trade up with the Minnesota Vikings, another team will. I think that they are wanting to acquire as much draft capital as humanly possible, and we have a second round, which they do not currently have. We could probably even steal some futures from them as well. But yeah, it's the Vikings for me. It's the Steelers. It's potentially the Buccaneers. I think those are the 3 most realistic. And Bengals and Falcons are a tad more unrealistic, but still possible. Shane, with a statement, is saying it really all depends on how the board falls. It's hard to tell until you see where other teams go. Solid mock, though, to understand the potential moves we can make. I'll tell you what, we have been yapping for about 40 minutes right now. So I think we might as well just do a full mock draft. I feel like we should do a full mock draft. You know what, folks? Listen, smash that like button for me. Thumbs up. And we are going to trade up slightly like we did at the beginning of this episode because why not? Let's see exactly what it's about. Looking back at that package, I said for Dallas first, it is incredibly stupid. But if we could get a 5th round for Elam, then I wouldn't throw the possibility out of the window. Again, like I said, bro, if any team would take that, it would be the Dallas Cowboys. That is what we're going to talk about. Derek is saying, I think the Buffalo Bills will go CB in the first round. There is such a significant drop-off with CB talent that they can't risk passing on a CB first. Derek, let's take a look at what a trade-up would look like. Now, remember, We have to hit on these trade-ups, folks. We have to hit on these trade-ups because it's a very loaded second round and third round, in my opinion, based off of draft needs. So I'm about to cook a little bit right here. And I'm going to make this slow mode as well. And we are going to trade. We'll go slow-ish to see where certain players are going. And I could only trade up as high as the Atlanta Falcons. Cowboys wouldn't make a lot of sense. Saints wouldn't do anything. Let me double check. See how many picks the Colts have. Let me see what they got here. Colts currently have. I think the Colts are actually in a pretty good position when it comes into draft picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 draft picks. That could potentially be something. The Arizona Cardinals have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 draft picks. They're at 16, so we could potentially go at 16. But I don't know, whatever. Let's just mess around and find out. Let's mess around and find out what this would look like if we traded up for a specific player. The draft is now officially starting. All right, so we have Abdul Carter going 1, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Armand Membu, Tet McMillan, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Jahdae Barron's off the board. Will Campbell goes top 10, which kills me there. Okay, Falcons. Will Johnson, damn it, right before to the Colts. I want to see why there's no players available. It really upsets me because I can't see the list of players that could go up, right? And that's what's really frustrating. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go to Pro Football Network Mock Draft Simulator. I like this one because I can actually see the players that are available. Actually like this one. What the hell is going on here, boys? There you go. All right. Let's go Buffalo Bills. We'll do a 7-round mock draft. Enter the solo mode. Let's do it. Let's get this done. Cam Ward goes first. Will Campbell, second overall. Giants go Ashton Genty. Sounds like that it's famous Jameis time over in New York. Abdul Carter to the Pats. Travis Hunter to the Jags. This is a hell of a lot more realistic. Mason Graham to the Jets. Tyler Warren to the Panthers. Shedeur Sanders to the Saints. Chicago takes Armand Membu. San Francisco takes Shamar Stewart. Let's see who's available so far. I'm not willing to trade down yet. Tet McMillan, you have Kelvin Banks, Tyler Booker, Jalen Walker, who a lot of us like. Starks, it's Michael Williams, Matthew Golden at 18, James Pierce Jr., Emin Warries at 21. Derek Harmon. I don't like Derek Harmon anymore. And Jahdae's at 23. All right, let's see. Kelvin Banks. Jihad Campbell goes to the Colts. Falcons takes James Pierce. Jalen Walker goes to the Cardinals. Bengals takes Malachi Starks. All right, now let's trade up. Let's trade up. All right, we are going to trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are going to give them a pick swap. We're going to give them 62. I want their 3rd round pick too. And I will give them a 2nd round pick next year in 2026. Propose it. I think that's fair. It's not. All right. Let's try it again. Buccaneers. 30th. Give me that 3rd. Give them 62, 109. Buffalo 2nd. Boom. Here we are. Trade it up, folks. Trade it up. Right up to 19th overall. And if that were to be the case, Right now, it is between Emanwari and or Jahdae Barron, corner in the NFL draft. I really like it. And Spin doesn't like my trade. We just ultimately ended up getting a third-round pick. I disagree, Spinny boy. All right? I'm just kidding, brother. Hope all is well. Anyway, I'm going to reject this from the Detroit. I'm going to take the Kansas City. Talk to me. I'm not sure about you guys, but if we were to trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I ultimately ended up having as an option for a trade-up partner, still have a second-round pick. We also acquire a third round. What player would you guys take here? What player would you guys take? What player would you guys take? We have Matthew Golden, who is intriguing. Derek Harmon. We have Emanwari. We have Jahdae Barron. We have Siobhan Revel. Who are you taking? Have Emanwari or Barron? That is exactly who I am between right now. If McMillan was still there at 19, I'd rather draft him. Dude. He's slow as hell. He creates no separation. He's not my guy. We have Osiris Texas coming in saying Jahdae Barron. I'd probably take Jahdae Barron here too. Emanwari. I know. I'm between the two, man. I'm between the two. 5'10", 194, 8. Do I take Emanwari instead? He's 6'3", 220. He has a RAS score of 10. Dude, you know what? I'm taking Emanwari here. I got to take Emanwari. I think there's no question. That's exactly where I'm going. You have Matthew Golden. Have no fear, man. We have some players. We have some players on this roster. I'm taking Nick Emanwari, man. Barron ended up falling all the way to the 24th overall pick to the Minnesota Vikings. Nick Scorton, edge rusher. Egbuka, have Luther Burden, fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they selected. Omarion Hampton, running back to the Chiefs. Walter, oh, wow. So the Chiefs ended up trading up with the Philadelphia Eagles once again. Let me see what else we have here. Ooh. Would I trade up here? No, let me find some teams that actually need some draft capital here. Let me see. I'm not seeing any players that I would trade up. Oh, actually, I do. I actually do. You have Tyleik Williams. Let me see how the board falls. Cameron Williams. Xavier Watts. Derek Harmon, who I'm not high on. Landon Jackson, edge rusher. Benjamin Morrison. Isaiah Bond. Why is Tyleik falling? Have Azarie Thomas. Trey Amos is taken. Okay. Mike Green is there. You have Tyleik Williams potentially. Deion Walker. I'm good there. Elick is interesting. Maxwell Harrison is pretty solid too. Let me see the defensive tackles that are available. We have Tyleik Williams. You have Darius Alexander at 66. I think that he's going to go up a little higher. Falcons at 46. Let me see. I think I might wait. Why don't you like Harmon? So I will explain that a bit later, but I've seen some red flags that I'm not particularly a fan of. Broncos, Seahawks, Maxwell Harrison gone off the board. Have Higgins, Princely edge rusher. Let's reject this. All right. Let's see what we're looking at here. A TJ Sanders is intriguing. I like Darius Alexander as a defensive tackle. I like the value here at 6'3". Rascore is up there. I'd probably go this dude. Corner. Porter is interesting. Zy Alexander solid too. I think you walk away with Darian Porter later in the 67th. I think you'd be pretty good. Let me go Darius Alexander. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills. Okay, we have Denzel Burke, Washington. Have Latham Ransom, Josh Cornley Jr. Dude, how many picks do the Eagles have right here? These guys are movers and shakers right now. All right. Let's see who else might be intrigued. We're at pick 84. I want to see if anybody stands out to me right now. Darian Porter. I would trade up for Darian Porter right now. I'm going to do that. Let me take a look. So far, we have Emanwari. We have Darius Alexander, defensive tackle out of Toledo, who I really like. Defense, CB. Let me see what else we have. We have Darian Porter. We have Zy Alexander, who is also intriguing. His RAS score is terrible, but solid movement skills, flashes upside and coverage. So Zy Alexander is interesting if we wanted to wait. I do like Darian Porter out of Iowa State. His RAS score is through the damn roof. Edge rusher, Swinson, Kennard, Jared Ivey is also up there. Have a Josiah Stewart. A couple of players I'm okay with. Defensive tackle potentially doubling down. Josh Farmer at defensive tackle like a way for. That's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, Cleveland Browns. What do we got? They have some damn picks. It's going to be tough to get this one. Let's see. Third round. Let's do a fourth. Maybe we can grab a 179. Let's try this. It was rejected by the Browns. All right, whatever. Let's roll. Let's run with it. Let's see. Dan, and I am seeing multiple reports that the Bills are super, super close to acquiring Jamal Dean. I've seen that, but I don't necessarily trust it. Trust me, man. I'm looking at the Kyle Williams situation. It's precisely where I'm going with it. Royals is off the board. Tez Johnson. Good there. Hold on. Damn it. Darian Porter goes to the Bengals. Let's take a look. CB2. What do we got? Swinson. All right. So the Buffalo Bills are sitting at 84 right now. We could potentially double dip at the defensive tackle position at Alfred Collins, who I would like particularly. Try to see if there's anything. You have Omar Norman Lott, who is intriguing as well. Our next pick is at 132. Josiah Stewart's pretty solid here. Let me see corners that are interesting. You have Kobe Bryant at 117. I like Zy Alexander as well, so I'm okay in this CB2 department. Give me a double dip situation. We are going to be taking Omar Norman Lott as well. Defensive tackle. Defensive tackle, man. Everyone wants a wide receiver in the first. Don't get me wrong. I like Matthew, but we saw how Allen did with a lack of wide receivers. It's the same set of wide receivers this year, plus Palmer, minus Hollins. I think we will be good. Guys, like so there are so many incredible draft picks that we see at any given moment that were found in the third or the fourth round. Don't be married to a specific position in each and every single round that we go with. Hancock, next pick is 132. I'm trying to think of anything standing out to me. Edge rusher is interesting. Josh Farmer, but Ty Felton, who everyone's telling me to take a look at too. Let's see. Stewart. All right. Buccaneers, I'm trading again with you because y'all need some damn picks. I'm going to take this one. How about you take a... Bang. With this overall pick, I am taking Zy Alexander out of LSU, upside in coverage. Let me see who else we got here just in case. If Quincy Riley, I'm okay with. Noel Williams is also somebody that's up there. Let me double check. 6'7" RAS score. I'm going Zy Alexander out of LSU. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills, my friend. Zy Alexander, sleeper at the CB2 position. Here we are. We have Emanwari, Darius Alexander, Omar Norman Lott. Next pick is 169. Let's take a look. Why take the bottom of the barrel, get Jay, a guy to take the top off? Last drive against Kansas City showed that. So I feel like you guys automatically assume that these players are about to live up to first round hype. Like there are so many occasions where like a different player just goes off. So for example, Stephon Diggs was what, like a 5th round pick? So many other quality wide receivers in this league were like 3rd, 4th round and turned out to be absolutely incredible. So a first round player doesn't always necessarily mean that they're going to be solid, right? I'm going to sit here and wait because next one's 169. Edge rusher. Jalen Reed. Teddy Buchanan. Let me see what SF's got. San Francisco. Bang. 169. 138. Dallas 7th. Let's try this one. Bang. This is where we go, folks. Reject. Kyle Williams. That's it, folks. That is a draft. Only 5 players we walked away with. And we'll worry about next year's draft later. We have Nick Emanwari, 19th overall. Darius Alexander, 56th. Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee, interior pressure. Zy Alexander, CB2. And Kyle Williams, wide receiver, as you know, my draft crush going into the season. Why take the bottom of the barrel? Get Josh Allen, a guy to take the top off. The last drive against Kansas City showed that. I don't think that you can watch that playoff game against Kansas City and blame the offense at all, right? Like the Buffalo Bills defense allowed Kansas City to score 30-plus points. Like Kansas City has only scored 30-plus points twice last year. They only scored 30 points plus twice last year, and both of them were against the Buffalo Bills defense. So it's kind of hard for me to look. It's sort of hard for me to look at our roster or look at that playoff game and give any sort of criteria / complaints over to the Bills offensive side of the football. Deion Walker, is he gone? Yeah, he was gone in the second. Who is James Dean? From what I understand, he makes great sausages. Spin is saying with Emanwari doesn't fill a need. That's why the Bills shouldn't trade up for him. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely an upgrade. Yeah. I like that player though, right? Love that player. Love that player, man. Like he truly would be like a franchise altering, like a defensive altering sort of player though, right? But so I totally get it. So would you have rather taken Jahdae Barron in that pick, right? In McDermott's system, you can get a 4th round corner and you have the MVP, never invested in him except mid-level talent. But like, Derek, here's the problem though. Like, we were number 1 in the league for points per game last year. Like, we were the highest scoring offense in the NFL. So we were the highest scoring offense in Buffalo Bills history. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough for me to look at this roster and say offense is the problem. Like when we did that, right? It's definitely not so a necessity. And look at all the teams that have been successful, right? Like, for example, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have done the exact same thing where they basically end up winning with a bunch of nobodies at the wide receiver position. It's just how it is, right? Like, not a single wide receiver on Kansas City had over 1,000 yards, and neither did the Buffalo Bills. And look at that. Both of those teams made it to the AFC Championship. What's important now is defense and finding edge rushers, defensive linemen that can help us improve in stopping 3rd down conversions, right? It's hard for me to look at our offense and say, yeah, so the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL in 2024 is the problem. Kyer was getting cooked. He was. Absolutely. It still keeps me up. It keeps me up every single morning. Kansas City put up 30 and 21 versus the Buffalo Bills, man. 30 points, man. Absolutely terrible. Holy moly, Dan. Flex those biceps, big dog. So I do it for the haters. You know what I'm saying? Because I just want to remind the haters that I would physically destroy them. I'm just kidding. I love all of you. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I would definitely be fine with taking Kyle Williams if he is a field stretcher. He runs a 4.4. He has one of the best route trees I've seen. He destroys press man coverage. Like, I have seen this guy break ankles of DBs all across college football. It's absolutely insane. I love the dude. Wide receiver field stretcher is the only offensive player we should draft. 110%. 110%. John is saying some mocks have us taking Derek Harmon. Here's the thing about Derek Harmon. He's good in a lot of categories. He's good. But he has no elite trait. Nothing about Derek Harmon, like nothing in his game is elite. That's my problem with him. I don't think that he could be really anything but a rotational guy in the NFL. That's my issue. Like, you look at Kenneth Grants of the world, like, so you even look at Tyleik Williams, right? Like, all of the other, like, defensive tackle prospects have something in their game that would be considered elite. Harmon just does a lot of things very well. Like, nothing is like, holy shit, that's our guy. Like, he's not mid, but he's just very good, right? Derek, not every team needs to blow their entire load on offense like the Bengals. Yeah, exactly. Where's that gotten the Bengals? When did Casey do after we ran over them? They stacked the line and we went nowhere. I do not want defensive, but that system McDermott runs is soft. Derek. Hey, Derek, we love you, man, but you play too much Madden, bro. You play too much Madden, Derek. We love you, man. We love you. Hey, listen, man. I'm just kidding with you. Everybody is allowed to have their own opinion, but in my respective opinion, don't, right? Say that you want to just focus on offense, then I would suggest like calling a Cincinnati Bengals fan and asking them how they have been doing for the past 2 years, looking from the outside in on the playoffs. Like, what I'm telling you is pressure is so important because last year we were like 27th in the NFL for stopping third down conversions. That's terrible. And half of the reason why Kansas City ultimately ended up doing all of this. Let me see. Hey, who told me that Kansas City only scored 21 points one time? All right. Well, 30 points once. Still, we can't allow Kansas City to score 30 points and say that our offense is the issue. Holy F can hold down a helicopter with those biceps. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Some have Barron as round 2-3 player. If that's the case, sign me up. Dan, so you're saying Harmon is a McDermott guy? Yes, and that terrifies me. Low key, I'm gonna kind of be upset if Derek Harmon is the defensive tackle we take. I'm low key going to be upset, but is what it is. Is what it is, right? Smash that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Share the channel with your friends and get them to join the channel, folks. Shout out to the mods that are always in here, keeping the peace. I sincerely appreciate that. Y'all deal with quite a bit, and I feel like the appreciation never goes far enough for me. All right, so shout out to the mods. And shout out to everybody that has been joining me. Guys, that's going to have to do it. About an hour and 5-ish minutes later today, I'm going to be live on Fourth and Forever. It is our show on Roundtable Sports live Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. EST. Highly recommend you go check it out. We discuss all of the trending topics around the league. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Follow me on X as well, at Real Dan Mitchell. That is where you will get all of the football takes that come into my mind at an absolute instant. It's a really cool way of being able to engage with me as well. So highly recommend you go check me out over there at Real Dan Mitchell on X. Go follow indeed. Subscribe here. Please turn on bell notifications. Shout out to everybody that is joining for the first time. Damn. Love each and every single one of you. And I will see you a bit later. Peace.